Some initiations don't happen in temples. They happen in the wilderness, not surrounded by stones, but by wind, trees, water, and the stars. It was Christmas Day. The world was inside sleeping, but I was being called, not by a voice, but by my thought. The mountains had been calling me for weeks, months, years, and that day I answered. I took nothing but the sacred tea, what I understand now as the Eucharist in disguise. It was an invitation to the Holy of Holies. I arrived at the lake, deep in the forest. The sun bowed, the cold had fallen, and the stars were watching. And I was alone, truly, fully alone. No audience, just silence, and the sky and the spirit. And there, under the canopy of God, I drank the tea, not as a trip, but as a prayer. Not to feel something, but to meet someone. And the veil lifted. I looked into the still water of the lake and saw not my reflection, but my entire bloodline. My son was me. My father was me. And the love I held for my son, fierce, unconditional, eternal, was the exact love my father and my celestial father held for me. That realization broke me open, because I had never truly known that love was real until I saw how real it was in me. And then, like a flood of fire, I saw that my ancestors were with me. I saw that they had always been. My grandmother, who had recently passed, was smiling, weeping with joy, because I have finally found what she had prayed her whole life I would find: God. She didn't get to see it happen in her lifetime, but now she saw it in eternity. And so did my other ancestors. And they rejoiced because I had returned home. And in that moment, I understood the final mystery. They all live in me, and I live in them. I am not a man isolated in time. I am also an ancient ancestor to generations to come. I am an eternal bloodline, made flesh, a single living entity, the ancient one reborn, and the ancestors of future kings, lovers, warriors, and prophets. I didn't cry from pain. I cried from fullness. My soul was full. My heart was wide. My spirit was crowned. I had lived most of my life as a rationalist, an atheist, a skeptic, a mind without mystery, a body without belief. And now here I was, held in the arms of God. I was given a gift I did not earn, a revelation others more deserving had longed for. But God in His wild mercy offered it to me, and I accepted it. I accepted the gift. I accepted the calling, and I accepted Him. It wasn't a moment, it was a metamorphosis. My old self died, and in its place the divine masculine awakened. Not a theory, not a teaching, but a living, breathing presence inside of me. The king stood up, the lover opened, the warrior burned, and the magician saw. And at the center, the Holy Trinity roared like a lion through my veins. I was no longer becoming, I had been reborn. And that night under the stars, beside the water, with the sacred tea in my blood and eternity in my bones, the God pill wasn't just something I received. It became the moment I could carry. This is how it began. This is where the God pill was born. not in theory, but in fire. And what comes next was the path he showed me for all men, a system, a structure, a way to initiate others into the same fire that saved me, a path forged by heaven, a map burned into my soul. And now I give it to you. The journey beyond time, the God who is everywhere. How far would you go to find out if God was real? To the edge of your mind? To the bottom of your soul? To the beginning and the end of everything? I went further. I traveled through all eternity itself, and I saw what most men only dream of, and what even angels long to look into. I was taken not by force, but by invitation to the first breath of creation, before galaxies, before atoms, before sound or shape. There was only a void, a silence so vast it had a weight, a darkness so perfect. It was not absence, it was a womb. But even there, something stirred, a faint light, soft, gentle, dancing, not a flame, not a flash, but a presence. And I understood. It was God. Not the bearded figure in the books, not the projection of our hopes, but a living light, older than time, alive with intelligence and love. And there I heard it, the music, the single note that became a chord, that became a cosmic chorus, Gregorian, celestial, echoing, eternal. But it wasn't just music. It was the word, the voice of God, singing all things into existence. Galaxies sprung into being from his harmonics, plants born from his syllabus, like fractured into colors from his tone. Creation was not a band, it was a vibration, a song. And then I was taken forward, beyond every prophecy, beyond every star, to the last day of creation. The final moment, when the last black hole swallows the final spark of light. And even there he was, still singing, still present, still loving. There was no loneliness, there was no fear. There was only God, complete within himself, and yet full of affection for me. I tried to escape his love. I wanted to test him, to find a corner of existence where he didn't exist. If you were everywhere, I said, show me the place where you are not. So I journeyed to the furthest place, and still he was there. His love has no horizon, no expiration, no border. It simply was. I remember everything. In that moment, my mind collapsed into my spirit, and I remembered not just this life, but the ones before. I remember the architecture of my soul. I remember that I was part of something infinite, older and larger than myself. I remember the reason I was born. I remembered my name, not the one they gave me at birth, but the one written in the books at the beginning. I remembered that I was loved before I existed, and that nothing I had done or failed to do could change that. I remembered everything. And then time returned, and just like that, the vision faded with the rising sun. The sound dimmed, the colors dissolved, and the veil dropped. And I was human again, mortal, breathing, walking back through the woods. But I wasn't the same man who entered. I was carrying something holy, something eternal. The echoes of that weekend followed me for days. In every face I saw the eternal soul. In every silence I heard the music. In every heartbeat I felt the light. But eventually, the world pulled me back. I returned to the rhythm of a man, but not the man I had been. I had touched eternity. I had met God. The war for the soul of man is not coming. It is already here. And most men don't even know they're fighting it because their chains look like comfort, their prisons smell like freedom, and their enemy's face is hidden behind a mask. The mask is a brand, a university, a Hollywood contract, a bank logo, a government grant, a dating app algorithm. The globalists are not kings. They are orphans on earth and in heaven, at home everywhere and nowhere. They want a world of rootless men, nomads with no honor, pleasure addicts with no mission, masculinity reduced to pixels, pills, passive income. Because a man with no father, no faith, no fire cannot resist them. The manosphere was a necessary fire, yes, but fire alone doesn't build temples. It clears the ground. And now we build. The God pill is the final stage. This is not the return to tradition. It is the return to transcendence. We are not restoring the 1950s. We are resurrecting Eden. We are not handing men a script. We are awakening them to a blueprint written in fire before time began. A man crowned in God becomes unconquerable. This is what happens when the God pill spreads. Pornography shatters, not because of shame, but because men see it for what it is, a desecration of the sacred. Masculine initiation restored. Fathers baptize sons in fire. Brotherhoods forged in silence. Rituals of passage beyond dopamine. And holy marriages, not contracts. Covenants. Kingdom-built unions. High trust, high vulnerability. God-sealed love. Fearless leadership. No more passive nice guys. No more tyrants. Kings who lead with vision, power, and wisdom. And fatherless homes healed, not by system, but by men who choose responsibility, discipline, and love. And false prophets silenced. No more charlatans sending coping disguised as courage. Only truth, only fire, only God. And the church reborn, not feminized, neutered, and ashamed of its own power, but fire forged, spirit filled, and roaring with sacred masculinity. You've swallowed the blue pill lie, you've choked on the red pill truth, and you've tasted the black despair. And now, awaken.